If you want to see some content that doesn't make it into all of these videos, make sure you check out the Facebook page linked below and see what's going on with Robbie Wilkie and the Wilkie Farm. We're getting close to midsummer right now in southeast Michigan, and a lot of our hard work throughout the season is really starting to pay off. We have a lot of crops coming in, we're having tasty meals from them, but did you ever think to yourself, man, I wish I really planted more? Right now everybody's got fall crops on their mind. You're planting them mid to late summer, hoping to get a fall harvest out of them. But if you only do that, you're missing out on some of the best growing you can do with some of the crops we usually start a lot earlier. A lot of the stuff we start earlier after the last frost are crops that really don't enjoy the cooler weather. Sure, they'll germinate, they'll start growing, but you'll notice a lot slower growth early in the season, and as it warms up, everything starts to blow up. You do not have to follow the rules and guidelines out there when it comes to planting plants in your garden. All you got to do is look on the back of your seed packet and it will tell you days to maturity. Next, referencing your gardening zone, find the first frost date that's going to happen towards the beginning, middle, or late fall in certain locations. Take those days to maturity and count backwards and see where you end up. Right now it's July 18th. I'm looking at anywhere from 75 to 90 days before my first frost date, which could always happen sooner or later. You have seeds left over, why not take a shot at them, use them up. And like I said, some of these will actually germinate a lot faster and start growing a lot faster when it's super hot out like it is right now. It's going to be 90s all week, the soil is heated up, some of these plants are really going to fire up. And I think that faster growth is going to really drive us home to the end of the season, and we should have a pretty decent harvest from these plants. And maybe you got some small, perhaps shaded areas of your garden too, where it seems like nothing's happening and it's just bare soil. It's kind of wasted space. I'm going to show you some filler crops we can also put in there. So let's start out by taking a look at what I got going on right over there. Start over here by the green beans. These will be a for sure winner if you start planting these right now. I put these seeds in the ground the last week of May, and being July 18th right now, that's about a month and a half. And man, did these things really take off when that weather started getting warm. I've let a lot of these guys seed out to these big pods so I can save these seeds for next year, because I was really impressed with how they performed. And I'm still harvesting off a lot of these too. There's still a lot of smaller beans on here that I'm picking to eat. The flowering has faded out a lot on these green beans, so production's kind of going downhill at this point. But seeing these only took a month and a half to grow like they did and give me tons and tons of green beans, I added more beans here. There's about 50 in this row. And in between these guys, I don't know what happened here. This was during the drought period, and I didn't water them very well. And I kind of let the weeds take over this area for a while and gave up on it. But some of these plants made it, and I even transplanted that one guy from over here where I put this new permanent trellis system in. So at the time we got left, I think we're going to have a even bigger bean harvest than we did with this 40 or so plants. Green beans definitely on the top of the list for sure crops that you could plant right now and get a good harvest before the frost hits. Here's another sure winner, especially in the heat of the summer. We got zucchinis and squashes. Just put several more mounds in and pop some seeds in. Got some baby zucchinis coming up in this mound. They're already starting to develop that first true leaf and the second leaf coming in. And these were only put in the ground a week and a half ago. You may have been discouraged early in the season when you noticed that all your zucchinis and squashes, pumpkins, were all growing so slow. But the fact is, these guys love the warm weather and they love the warm soil, as you can see by these coming up. This is a great way to supplement your harvest as well, because I notice I'm not the only one that's been dealing with garden pests this year. Look at that right there. Baby squash bug. And another. I don't use any chemicals or diatomaceous earth or anything like that. I just manually knock all the eggs off and try to crush all the eggs, find the bugs, kill them. But it's a daily chore, and I found out you really can't win against these guys no matter how hard you work. I've lost one of my big zucchini plants I've cut off a couple of the suckers that were being productive on these vines because they were not looking too hot, and I didn't want what was wrong spreading to the rest of the plant. Nobody talks about it, but these guys, oh, there's some right there. These guys, when they bite down into that plant, spread a fungal disease that will kill your plant. And when they bite down into the infected plant and then go chomp on another plant, like the cucumber next to this one too is going to pick up that same disease, and we're starting to see early signs of that there. So these cucumbers are shot. And look at that, even more. Get over here. Factor in the squash vine borer moss, and you're looking at a world of hurt. So good thing we could plant another round of these to get even more zucchinis. And conveniently, cucumbers are next on the list. These little cucumbers are digging the warm weather. The seed packet says 65 to 70 days to maturity. So I think we're gonna get some more cucumbers out of those guys. Jealous of everyone's tomatoes they're showing coming in, green like this. Seeing who's gonna get the ripe ones first. Go to Home Depot and they have them mostly half off right now. And a lot of the plants are actually pretty big in the containers because they've been sitting so long. Put them in the ground in this warm weather and you're not gonna get a full harvest out of them, but I can almost guarantee if you take care of them right, you're gonna get some tomatoes. Kind of pushing it with this one, but I have Yukon Gold potatoes growing here. If you planted these right now, I think you'll get some potatoes. These grew pretty fast. These were planted a little over 3 weeks ago or so. I'm gonna have to start mounting these guys up pretty soon. Didn't follow the instructions on these of when to plant, but like I said, you do not have to follow the instructions. Just look at the days to maturity and plant as you'd like. Don't be afraid to throw in all those leftover sunflower seeds either. These are all random seeds I threw in here mid-June. Japanese beetles are sure loving them. Here's a sunflower hack to speed up your growth. I want you to plant your leftover seeds, and when they get about 6 inches tall, I want you to pound them with water and Miracle-Gro. Miracle-Gro 2 or 3 times a week, and water them every day really heavy, and they will grow pretty quick. Same deal with the peppers. You go to Home Depot is loaded with peppers right now, and a lot of them are on sale. Peppers are one of those plants you put in the ground and they don't do much for a long time, and then when it gets really hot out, they really start taking off, usually around August or so, where I'm gardening. So why not? Grabbed a couple from Home Depot, tossed them in the dirt, nothing else is going on here. I bet by August these guys will start having flowers on them, and we're probably going to be starting to get some peppers. I even ordered some Carolina Reapers a little less than a month ago. They came topped off, and I didn't know what to expect of them. So I hardened them off, put them in the ground, and just look how they're bushing out. These are doing pretty good over here. Come mid-August, these things are going to be pretty massive. Here's another rule breaker if you have the right growing conditions. Check out my romaines. I planted these late May. These things have been out here through all that heat and drought, and they still have not bolted, and they're still delicious, and I'm taking leaves off them, making some salad with these and the cucumbers. I'm able to grow these in the summer because of the location I picked for these romaine. If you notice all these big trees here, when the sun comes over, this whole area is pretty shady most of the day, and then gets a little bit of sunlight towards the evening, maybe 4 to 6 hours. Along with that, I pump these guys full of cold well water every evening. I even threw a few more seeds in a few weeks ago. They're pretty random because this area was pretty weeded out. I didn't even know what was growing here. My wife planted a lot of the stuff here. I had to look this up because I didn't know what it was. Apparently, that's kale. I'm not really a kale fan and I've never grown it. And this is supposed to be a cabbage. Now that we're all cleaned up and ready for fall planting, I threw in a bunch more kale. Got some more romaines in there to fill in all these gaps. Over here, I planted a ton of spinach. And this empty space is going to be 12 broccoli and 12 cabbage, which are another fall crop. Another late planting of carrots towards the end of the May, but these guys are doing pretty good. Got some that are ready to come out. They're starting to peek over the surface. Most of you are harvesting your carrots right now, so what you can do is just plant more carrots where you had your carrots. That's the recommended way of doing it because you can get 2 flushes of carrots per season. I could use all this empty space and continue on with the purple carrot seeds I just bought, and I probably will. Here's something else you can do with your carrots to use them as a filler crop in case you don't have anywhere to plant your carrots. Carrots are actually a very good companion crop with tomatoes because your tomatoes grow nice and bushy and the carrots don't need as much light. So you can go between your tomatoes like I did here. I planted carrots between all my tomatoes. And if you look over here, we're starting to get a couple little sprouts coming up. This works really good if you're gardening in a small compact space like a raised garden bed or a planter or something like that, and you got a lot of stuff in there and you want to grow more stuff but you don't got any room. Just put some carrots in there underneath some of your taller plants and you'll be all set. Here's one of your fall crops. We got the peas that are still kicking even though it's super hot out. Still getting a lot of good eater size. Let some of these go to seed. I liked how heat tolerant these peas were. Same thing as the romaine, minus the shade part. These are in full sun, but I pump them full of cold well water every day. And I have grass mulch down here, so this soil is cool to the touch. So that's how I grow peas all summer long. These are the guys you're gonna wanna get in the ground now for your fall crop of peas because they only take 60 to 70 days to maturity. So I can't wait to fire up the new permanent trellis system I got here that's going to work for everything for crop rotation. I'm gonna go cucumbers, tomatoes, anything that's climbing that I can grow on strings from the top here. Have an eye set at every possible plant distance to work with so I don't have to keep retying stuff. And I'll fix up this soil here, and I got peas that should be arriving pretty soon. I'll be doing peas on both sides of this. I just don't have it in me this season to amend the soil in the middle of this. I'm gonna let all the leaves and organic matter that cover this over the winter take care of that. But I did do a little bit of it and put some beets in there. So we'll see how they do in there. It's not the greatest growing conditions, but it is empty space, so why not? And finally, possibly the easiest plant to grow is the radish. 20 days. 20 days is all it took to get here. Give it a few more days, it's actually pretty good right now, and I could pick it and eat it. And since it is kind of hot out and it is not radish season really to be planting these, you can still grow them. You're not supposed to, but you can. They might not taste as great if they get too hot. So same thing, cold well water almost every single day. I'm not going to let them sit too long, and I'm going to harvest them and eat them. But an even better way to grow these guys all summer is if you have a shady area with a planter or something like on my back porch, that as soon as that sun gets over my house, that area is shaded. So these are only getting maybe 6-7 hours of daylight each day. Radishes love it up there. Just those little garden planters that hang over the rail. Just popped another 50 or so in there. Did one tray as an experiment and they just grew so fast. So go ahead and pop them radishes all over the place. Especially just like the carrots, you can put them around your tomatoes and they'll get a nice shade to keep them cool and make them taste better. I hope this gave you some ideas to keep expanding your garden throughout the season, and hopefully you try some of these out and have a successful harvest. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as well as finding me on Facebook and following some of the stuff that doesn't make videos. And as always, thanks for watching.